If you want to work with mandalas through an Islamic or Sufic lens, especially during a sacred time like the time of Ramadan or the time before Fajr, the last third of the night, there's a simple way to bring this practice into your worship. If you've been listening to some of the meditations of Asma'ul Husna, the names of Allah meditations, one gentle way to continue that practice is after listening to a divine name, after sitting with it quietly, you can draw a mandala. You can do this after prayer also, after reading Quran, after dhikr, after you're remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then you just listen to your heart. You can sit and draw, and because the mandala is being drawn while your attention is focused on Allah, it becomes a kind of worship, your own form of remembrance, your own way of dhikr. With this kind of mandala, you're not decorating names of Allah, and you're not trying to explain Allah either. You're just letting your attention settle around a particular name, a beautiful name, a sign, or a dua, and allowing your heart to organize itself in its presence. And organize it. How does your psyche organize in its presence? Because the names of Allah are not just words that we memorize. They're the ways that reality is known to us, and each name describes a quality of how the world is sustained, how it is protected, how it is forgiven, for example, how it is guided, how it is shown mercy, and sometimes filled with awe. So when we contemplate on one of the beautiful names, it quietly changes how we see the world. And when perception changes, form follows, and our life changes. A mandala is simply a form that shows how attention has organized itself. So if the center of your mandala is one of the beautiful names, or an ayah from the Quran, or a particular dhikr, or a dua, then you let the mandala emerge from that focus. We are not saying that this name means this shape. Instead, we say, when attention circles this name, these kinds of qualities can appear. These names, these beautiful names, shape perception. They shape how we look at the world, how we look at ourselves, and how we look at the divine, at Allah. For example, when attention rests with Al-Wasi, the all-encompassing, mandalas may start to feel more spacious. You may notice open centers, breathing room, wide rings, a sense of expansion. Similarly, when attention rests with Al-Hafiz, the protector, boundaries may become stronger, lines may thicken, edges may close more firmly, the drawing may feel more contained. And when attention rests with Ar-Rauf, the gentle and kind, edges may soften, curves may replace sharp angles, colors may feel warmer or more tender. These are not rules that I'm talking about, these are just tendencies that can appear when perception is being shaped by a name. And because these names, these beautiful names, shape perception itself, they choose how they want to be manifested to someone. So, once again, as we have talked in the previous sessions, that the meaning emerges from the individual and the collective meaning. So individually, these names might be targeted at us, and similarly, culturally, they might be targeted at us. And that's where the meaning emerges. So for each person, the experience of a name can be different, right? And at different times and different seasons of life and with different personalities, that's why the meaning making is always personal and always changing. So these beautiful names, they're not symbols, static symbols. They are living realities that determine how they want to appear in our perception. In a mandala, when one of these names show up, they are a center of perception. And the mandala reflects how our perception organizes experience around that center. And mandalas can hold more than one name at the same time. The names choose how they want to appear. Mandala is just a cross-section of how any name is appearing. And sometimes we understand it and sometimes we don't. In fact, most mandalas hold more than one divine quality. So mercy and protection can appear together. Expansion and contraction can exist side by side. Al-Basit and Al-Qabid. Gentleness can coexist with firmness. And this reflects something important. The names are not separate pieces of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are many windows opening onto one reality, Al-Ahad. So a mandala often shows how these qualities are relating within us at a particular moment. Some people choose to write a divine name in calligraphy. Some people write du'as. Some people write an ayah that feels especially close to their life. Some people write hadiths or du'as of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ inside or around the mandalas. Completely optional, and it can be completely appropriate. But if you do write, the intention is not perfection. The intention is just having presence. You may write one name in the center. You may repeat a name around the edges. You may place multiple names, and sometimes the mandala feels like it's holding a door. A doorway that opens when you invoke a particular name. Sometimes the mandala comes first, and sometimes the name comes first. And it's less that we choose the perfect mandala for a name, and more that the name designs its place before it comes to rest there in our perception. In some Sufi circles, it is said that forms are like mirrors, and reality, al-haq, discloses itself according to our capacity to receive it. The divine names are not added to the world. They're already present. They're already making reality. What changes is our receptivity, and a mandala is a mirror of that receptivity. It shows how the heart is receiving and turning towards the real, al-haq, in that moment. Sacred times like Ramadan or the time of the Hajj is a time of recentering. Attention naturally turns inwards. Fasting quiets certain impulses. Prayers repeat. Time slows. It becomes a perfect environment for mandala work. You might listen to a name meditation, sit in silence for a few minutes, and then draw a mandala without planning. Then you simply let it be. The mandala becomes a trace of remembrance, zikr. And at the end of the day, unity is our destination. All divine names, no matter how different they appear, lead us towards unity, towards Tawheed. A mandala reflects this movement. Many colors, many forms, many tensions, circling one center, like the Kaaba. In that way, mandalas can teach Tawheed without explanation. They show unity not as an idea, but as an experience, how the different parts of us revolve around one center. And in the meeting of the logic of Tawheed and the embodied experience of Tawheed lives unity, lives a meaning of unity. And you don't need to be an artist to do this. You don't need to understand symbolism. You don't need to know a lot about the Isma al-Husna. You only need sincerity, presence, dua, persistence. And if after remembering a name of Allah, you draw a mandala and feel a little more centered, a little more held, a little closer to unity, then the practice has already fulfilled its purpose. It's the direction that we are moving towards that is important, not the destination. And remember, the name remembers us long before we remember it. Once again, these mandalas are not an image of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're not an idol. They're just cross-section of ourselves contemplating His beauty and a mirror of our awe and so many other processes that lead towards Him. They are an image of us turning towards Him, and they show us how multiplicity, many forms, can all revolve around one center.